Add-on Solutions. Add-on Desire.
Hello viewers, welcome to Adot Solutions Daily News Analysis session. I am Lokesh Pengonda. We'll begin our session with a quote. Work hard in silence, let your success be the noise. The first article is about the Quad grouping and the relation between United States and the China. Earlier this week we have seen the Quad members meeting for the first time at the highest level, that is at the prime ministerial level. And after this meeting, after the Quad meeting, United States officials and the Chinese officials has met at Alaska, and the United States officials has made it clear to the Chinese officials the output and the message of this meeting. So what is this message the United States has given to the Chinese officials? First, it has 3 points. The first being United States is back. It is back to play a greater role in the affairs of the international arena. This is important as earlier during the Trump administration's presidency, we have seen United States coming out of many groupings such as United Nations Human Rights Council, such as Paris Climate Agreement, Iran nuclear deal, and many such agreements. So now that the Biden administration has taken over the presidency of the United States, we see America is wanting to play a greater role in the international affairs, and it sees China as the prime challenger to its role at the international level, and the United States is willing to use Quad to counter China. So these are the 3 messages that the United States officials has given to the Chinese officials. Let's see what happened in the Quad grouping first. In the Quad grouping, after the summit, the leaders have said that China was not explicitly talked about. China was not the only point of discussion. It said that though China was explicitly not discussed, the discussions happened on China's aggression and China's coercion tactics on Australia, China's aggression in the Japanese claimed Senkaku Islands, and also the Quad summit has seen China's aggression at the line of actual control with India. So these 3 are discussed so that the Chinese aggressions are discussed even though it is not explicitly mentioned. Next, the meeting between the US and the Chinese officials was prefaced by the meeting of the US officials with the higher officials of the members of the Quad grouping. We've seen US officials either meeting India's, Australia, Japan's top administration either before the meeting or just after the meeting. This was not just coincidence. This was intended to send a common message that Quad is a grouping which will counter Chinese aggressions if the China is not following the rule of law. So this was not merely a coincidence but a message. Now we'll see what are the outputs of the Quad groupings first leadership level summit, and what are the issues that needs to be resolved. So we'll see the output. The output can be categorized as 3 C's plus C. First, what are the 3 C's? The Quad member countries have agreed setting up of working groups regarding COVID vaccines, climate change, critical technology. So these are the 3 C's. And also there was an agreement informally between these member countries. This is mainly in the context of China's aggression. So now we'll see various working groups and the issues that needs to be resolved. First is vaccine diplomacy of the Quad. Quad grouping has announced that they intend to supply 1 billion COVID vaccines for free to members of Indo-Pacific countries. So this is seen as a Quad's diplomacy. This is aside of the India's vaccine diplomacy, where India has exported nearly 58 million COVID vaccines to 71 countries. These vaccines are exported under various agreements. It may be under commercial sales, or it is under grants, or it is under Gavi's COVAX initiative. So through all these initiatives, India has exported 58 million vaccines to these 71 countries. A small note of the Gavi COVAX initiative. Gavi stands for Global Alliance for Vaccination and Immunization. This Gavi as an organization was set up in 2000. Its main objective is to provide vaccines to poor countries and especially to children, so that the number of child deaths due to lack of vaccines will be reduced. So by announcing 1 billion vaccines of COVID to Indo-Pacific member countries, the Quad grouping aims to achieve soft power in the Indo-Pacific region. Also, this has tremendous impact, a positive impact on India's economy and Indian pharmaceutical sector, because India is already the largest vaccine maker in the world, and due to this fact and the new initiatives of the Quad grouping, it would lead to boosting of pharmaceutical sector as a whole in the country. Thus, India has welcomed this Quad's initiative, and now we are seeing that apart from the 1 billion COVID vaccines, India will be producing at least 1.8 billion doses for its own, because India has 900 million adult population, and for one person at least 2 doses has to be given. So 1.8 billion vaccines should be produced in India. So to produce all these vaccines, there is a need to revamp the infrastructure, there is a need to increase the investment, and there is a need to increase the coordination between the member countries. So this will act as a testimony to the Quad grouping as a whole. If it is successful, then you can assume that Quad grouping is capable of working together to achieve a purpose. But there exist some challenges that needs to be resolved in context of COVID. First is India's relief at World Trade Organization for TRIPS agreement is still pending, and it is still opposed by the member countries of the Quad. So what is this relief India is requesting for? Under the trade related intellectual property rights, the member countries have to ensure that the patent rights of the makers are protected. As the COVID vaccinations are developed by many private firms, the amount these private firms are charging or willing to charge is high. Because of high vaccination charges, many poor people in many countries are suffering because they could not afford this high amount. So India has requested for TRIPS relief agreement, so for TRIPS relief, so that India can produce India can give these patent rights to other companies which can produce these vaccines at a cheaper price, and these vaccines can be exported to other countries and for own commercial use. So this relief was requested by India at the World Trade Organization, but even after the Quad meeting, there was no resolution on this issue. So this issue still remains unresolved. Next, we have the second C, which is climate change. India has welcomed USA's return to the Paris Climate Agreement. Trump, when he was president, has announced the coming out of United States from Paris climate agreement of 2015. And now that there is change in presidency of the United States, Mr. Biden has announced that he will return to the Paris Climate Agreement. Also, he said that he will restart the funding to Green Climate Fund. This Green Climate Fund was established in 2010. The decision to establish this was taken at the Conference of Parties 16 at the Cancun. The objective of setting out of this Green Climate Fund is to provide finance by developed countries to developing and underdeveloped countries, so that these countries can shift to greener energies and can mitigate the climate change. So with an objective to reduce the emissions and to make the developing and underdeveloped countries to shift to greener energies, this fund called the Green Climate Fund was set up. But Mr. Trump, when he was president, stopped the funding to the Green Climate Fund. Now that the Biden administration has taken over the presidency of the United States, he has promised to restart the funding to the Green Climate Fund. And India has an issue with the United States. What is this issue? India, which was promised nearly $1.4 billion by the United States for its adoption of the solar technology, is still expecting a majority part of this payment. So what happened was, in the 2015 and 2017, India was promised $1.4 billion to adopt the solar technology. United States has promised this amount to India as a part of its efforts to reduce the emissions, but Mr. Trump has stopped the payment of this $1.4 billion, and now India is expecting this money from the United States. This is still unresolved, and India is expecting this money. And also there is a hope that the Biden administration, which believes in climate change and which wants to take steps to reduce the emissions, might consider joining the International Solar Alliance. So what is this International Solar Alliance? To promote the solar energy usage and to promote and to provide funding to developing countries and underdeveloped countries to take solar energy, to install solar energy. This organization was formed in 2015 by India and France. Earlier, United States is not a member of this organization, and now it is expecting that the USA might consider joining this, so that the funding to this organization and the technological support to this organization will increase. So this is the second C. Next, we will coming to third C, which is critical technology. India, which is overly dependent on many critical technologies, not only in telecommunication sector but also in many critical communication sectors and other sectors, is looking to diversify its sources, so that its hold by the Chinese companies, its hold by the Chinese economy will be reduced. And now that there is a working group established to deal with the critical technologies, India will welcome this part. But when it comes to data localization policies, India would definitely oppose. So this is an issue. Earlier, we've seen in 2019, India coming out of Osaka Track Declaration. This Osaka Track Declaration was part of G20. It happened in Japan. And when there was an agreement, when there was a deliberation discussing about data localization, India has come out because India is opposing any kind of data localization policies. So In all three sectors, we see that though there is collaboration between the countries, though there is an interest between these countries to collaborate for a greater good, there are still issues that needs to be resolved. The fourth C is China. Even in this condition, even in this context, even in this arena, India is unclear because India is the only country which shares a land border with China, and that too a disputed one. Also, the other countries of the Quad grouping, that is Australia, United States and Japan, they already have military agreements between each other. So, India is the only country which is not a military ally to other group member countries, and it shares a land border, that to a demarcated one. Also, India lives in a neighborhood which has seen China making deep inroads. So, due to all these reasons, India is apprehensive. India is not sure how it would go forward with the Quad grouping when it comes to maritime agreements, maritime collaboration. As the Quad grouping is mainly planning about maritime collaboration in the South China Sea, so as to increase the freedom of navigation in the South China Sea, which we have seen China laying claims to majority of this region. As the objectives of the member countries of the Quad seems to be different when it comes to maritime security and maritime collaboration, this still is an issue between India and other countries. And now we'll see what were the impacts and how the line of actual controls violence which took place last year between India and China changed India's perspective and India's understanding. Now we'll see the impacts. First, it led to increase in military expenditure to India, because India, after the violence of the line of actual control, started increasing infrastructural projects in this region. Also, it is making use of more amount of resources. It is sending more troops to the border so as to not repeat the 2020 LAC episode. So there is a change in India's ideology and India's functioning when it comes to LAC. This is one impact. Second, the LAC impact and the LAC violence has led to the possibility of a two-front war. That is, India facing war not only from China but also a joint operation between Pakistan and China against India. Even the Indian Army chief has said that the possibility of two-front war is real. So there is a change in perception of India when it comes to China and Pakistan as a whole. And also we've started prioritizing our land border rather to the maritime border which we've seen earlier. So due to all these reasons, the ideology and the thinking of India has changed. So what is the direction for India when it comes to Quad? Mr. Modi has announced that Quad is like any other grouping. He said that Quad is similar to any other groupings such as SAARC, BIMSTEC, BRICS. He said it in the context so that China would not perceive India as an enemy or as a complete ally of the Western powers. He also said that these organizations, by becoming members of these organizations, countries aims to broaden its space in the strategic autonomy. But by being a member in the Quad, which is seen as completely against China, it would lead to narrowing of its choices, bilateral choices. So India is not so clear. India is unsure about how the Quad grouping will go. But one thing is clear, that whatever India's strategy with the Quad, it will be based on our land borders. This article is talking about India's vaccination program and how we can improve the vaccination process. First, it is saying that of the all vaccinations happening in the world, 1/3 of these vaccinations happened in India. And in India, we have seen 40,000 vaccination centers to vaccinate the people, and also nearly 3.2% of its adults are vaccinated. But the author is stating that this number is a meager amount, this is a small amount, we have a long way to go, and this is not our true potential, because India, which is the largest vaccine producer and also has huge number of healthcare workers, can do more, can achieve more. So this article is providing for various suggestions on how to increase the vaccination process. First, this article is talking about the issues in the vaccination process. It is the government which has said that it aims to vaccinate 300 million people in the coming up days, but this vaccination program or this target lacks the time frame, and it also lacks the specifications. So this is one issue where we have to improve on. Also, other issues being the number of COVID cases being increasing. In the last few days, we have seen the number of COVID cases increasing drastically in states such as Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, and even in New Delhi. So these are some of the issues that needs to be handled, that will make the vaccination process important. The author is stating that 10 million vaccines a day is needed so as to complete the vaccination process before the people who might get exposed to the COVID and who might die is reduced. So there is a need to increase the vaccinations to 10 million vaccinations a day. This is 5 times the current vaccination. That is, currently 2 million vaccines are given per day on average. We need to increase it 5-fold so that more number of people can get vaccinated fast. The author is stating that in India we have 3 lakh vaccinators and also 1 lakh auxiliary nurses. These 4 lakh healthcare workers are capable of providing 3 million vaccines a day. Also, it is true that these 4 lakh healthcare workers are already trained and they have experience, because these healthcare workers have already worked to provide vaccinations to children from many years. So these vaccinators and these healthcare workers can do 3 million. So what else is required is 7 million vaccinations a day. The author is stating that to get 7 million extra vaccinations per day, there is a need to bring in private sector. So to bring in the private sector and to increase the amount of vaccinations, the author is stating that we need to take some steps to make it happen. First, we need to set up a stockpile, because the number of vaccines that are existing in India, that the Indian government which it has, is very less, because the number of vaccines which are being produced in India are being exported to many countries. So there is a need to stockpile more amount of vaccines. Also, as the types of vaccines that are being produced in the country are few, that is now only Covishield and Covax are being produced. The author is stating that we can make use of other vaccines such as Novavax, such as Sputnik, which are made by other countries but which can be produced in India through sharing of patent or through sharing of profits. Also, we can rope in other manufacturers, not only the manufacturing facilities which are in India, but we can also take help of other vaccines in the world so that the stockpile in the country can be increased. Also, there is a need to spend and to invest on research and the studies so that the output can be analyzed, and if there are any problems with the output, we can modify it, we can take the feedback. So these are some of the steps that are need to be taken. And also the other is stating that there is a need to balance our compassion. It is in the context of India exporting 58 million doses, vaccination doses to 71 countries, when a large population of its own country are still not vaccinated. So the author is asking for a balanced approach so that the needs of the country are also taken care of before the needs of others can be taken care of. The author is also stating that by declaring the emergency authorization to other vaccines, we can achieve both vaccination and also by studying it simultaneously, we can get the output analysis. The author is stating that we can allow vaccination and we can allow studying of the output of the vaccination at the same time, so that no time will be wasted. The author is also stating that there is a need to provide vaccines in the private market, so whoever can afford these vaccines can buy the vaccines directly. Also, the author is stating that the current regulations which specify the age, which specify what kind of morbidities a person is prioritized to get these vaccines. The author is stating that there is a need to remove all these criteria, and whoever is above 18 years can directly go to any vaccination center at any time, and if he can afford the vaccine, he can take it. By this method, the amount of vaccinations that are being taken by the country's population will increase. And also, by placing the vaccines in the public market, in the general market, those who can afford it will buy it, and those who cannot afford it, government will take care of it. So the vaccination process will improve. These are various steps that the author has suggested. Also, he has suggested that there is a need to simplify the vaccination process, because now there is so many regulations. Only people from more than 50 years can take, only people with comorbidities can get vaccination, only people who get registered under the CoWIN app, only can those get vaccination. So the author is stating that remove all these regulations, allow people to go to the offline centers, allow them to directly walk in and get the vaccinations done, and after getting the vaccinations done, the public health officials can take the information of these people and can upload it in the website. So by simplifying the process, we can increase the vaccination. The author is also suggesting to the government to set up screening centers randomly to screen people. By screening people randomly, we would also know people who are suffering from diseases or comorbidities, because many people who are suffering from small diseases which are not life-threatening at that particular point of time would not know that they are in fact victims of these diseases. So by setting up screening centers at the vaccination centers, government can also screen them and can also help them to know their health status. And in the end, the author has provided the roadmap for this vaccination drive. First is micro-planning, second is monitoring, third is mentoring. The author stating that by identifying and by mapping the people, we can create a blueprint to vaccinate them, and we can vaccinate them based on the household, based on their various categories, such as whether they are migrants, whether they live in old age homes. So by capturing the data of all these institutions and people, we can prioritize and we can also increase the vaccination process. The author is also asking for the collaboration between center and the states, because states are the ultimate entities which support the vaccination process. So there is a need for increased collaboration between the center and the state, and by supporting the ASHA workers at the rural level and by taking volunteers at the urban level, we can increase the vaccination process, and these volunteers and ASHA workers will be helpful to mobilize the people at the vaccination centers. So through all these steps, the vaccination process will be improved. And the second and third are mentoring and monitoring. There is a need for intersectoral coordination, because this is important for free flow of the vaccination process. This is important for ensuring the proper logistical and transport of the vaccination. To ensure all this and to make all this happen, there is a need to the formation of the task forces at the district and the sub-district level. Also, by collaborating with the World Health Organization, we can get the basic data and best practices that are in consideration worldwide. So through all this, we can improve the vaccination process. The author is stating that India, which already has got reputation in the vaccination drives, can only further strengthen its reputation by taking swift efforts in the COVID vaccination. So to make it all happen, we have to do whatever it takes, and doing our best is needed to get the vaccination done. Next, we'll give you a brief idea about the Mullaperiyar Dam. In the Supreme Court, a petition was filed to scrap the 1886 lease on the Mullaperiyar Dam. So, where is this Mullaperiyar Dam? It is located on the confluence of the Mullayar and the Periyar rivers. This is in Kerala. Though it is in Kerala, it is operated and maintained by Tamil Nadu, so that the drinking water and irrigation requirement of its 5 southern districts will be taken care of. So why is the dam in Kerala, but why is the operation and maintenance is done by Tamil Nadu? This is mainly because of the 999 lease agreement between the British rulers and the Maharaja of Travancore. So in 1886, the British rulers of India and the Maharaja of Travancore had made a pact, had made an agreement to give the operational and maintenance controls of this dam to the British officials, so that Madras Presidency, which was a territory of the British India, could get water from Kerala, which was a princely state then. So this was the basic agreement in 1886 between British India and the Travancore Maharaja. The dam intends to divert the waters of west flowing Periyar to east flowing to the eastward of the Tamil Nadu, so that their irrigation and drinking water facilities will be taken care of. This is a brief idea about Mullaperiyar Dam. Next, we will see prelims practice questions. Under which conference the developing countries agreed to provide 100 billion fund a year to Green Climate Fund to finance climate change mitigation effects? Is it at Conference of Parties 16 at Cancun, Conference of Parties 21 at Paris, COP25 at Madrid, COP10 at Buenos Aires? The answer is Conference of Parties 16th at the Cancun. Next, consider the following statements. Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, CDRI, is a joint initiative of India and France. It was launched on the sidelines of COP21 at Paris. Which of the statements are correct? The answer is C, because CDRI was established in 2019 and it was International Solar Alliance, which was launched on the sidelines of Conference of Parties of COP21 at Paris, And for ISA, that is International Solar Alliance, it was a joint project between India and France. So both the statements are wrong. Next, Global Hunger Index is published by, is it published by FAO? Is it published by World Bank? Is it by Concern Worldwide and World Hunger Health? Is it by World Economic Forum? The answer is C. It is Concern Worldwide and World Hunger Health. We've taken a question from 2016 UPSC Prelims question paper. The Government of India Act 1919 clearly defined the separation of powers between the judiciary and the legislature, the jurisdiction of central and provincial government, the powers of the Secretary of State for India and the Viceroy, none of the above. The answer is B, because it clearly defines the jurisdiction of the central and the provincial governments. Next, we come to mains practice questions. India's vaccination program has a long way to go. Give some suggestions to speed up the vaccination process. Second, write a short note on Mullaperiyar Dam. So we come to the end of this session. Thank you.
Add-on solutions. Add-on desires.